Hello and welcome back to another episode of Cast 5 Reviews. My name is Fayez. I'm joined today by Rohan and Daniel. What is going on, my brothers?
It's too early, but we're here.
You know, for the man that was saying that, oh yeah, why is this man acting? This is not a joking class. Look at it. It's too early.
The joking class, acting class.
Acting class,
Not
sorry.
acting class.
Acting class. I apologize.
It's too damn early.
I apologize. Yeah, I've been up since like 6:30. So who's it early for? Get out of here. The sass, Daniel, I have to deal with the sass. But Rohan, I have to tell you one thing. This show did not live up to the hype. But before we dive into that, everyone's caught up, right? You guys all have seen the finale? We're done?
Yeah, we've seen all of it.
All right. So we are going to be on episode 5 and episode 6 for Moon Knight. This little series that I had so much hope for, but apparently, oof. But Oscar Isaac, though, killed it.
Oh,
absolutely
phenomenal.
He holds the show together. At points, I felt that if it wasn't for his ability to hold our attention, it was getting some of the sequences were getting too ungrounded, and a couple times for me. But we'll talk about it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Lila too. I think May Calamare, she did a fantastic job when she became Wonder Woman at the very end. But
someone sees the memes. Someone saw the memes.
No, I actually watched it at like 6:30 in the morning because that's what I woke up for, to watch the episode. I'm like, oh, finale, let's go. And oof. The decisions I have to make. Excuse me. The decisions I have to make.
What do you think of let's start with episode 5 though. What did you think of that?
Before we dive into that, let me just do my little spiel for anyone new that's watching our content for the very first time. Hi, how are you? Thank you so much for clicking on this video. We also have tons of podcasts as well at Cast 5 Cast_5 on Google, Apple, Spotify, you name it. But if you're wondering who we are, we're a group of friends that like to review, discuss video games, movies, animes, anything relevant to pop culture or topics that generally matter to us, and hopefully they matter to you as well. Otherwise, all the times I mess up this intro, it would be quite pointless. So please give it a meeting by clicking the like and subscribe button. YouTube algorithm needs to know that we exist. So send that love around, We also are very active on twitch.tv/cast_5, where we currently are playing Demon Souls, Final Fantasy, parts of Endwalker, and Elden Ring. Farhad's Journey for Rune 1. If you guys have not checked it out, please go ahead and do so. This man is amazing. We are currently on part 5, and I don't know how he still has the will to continue on, because I speak with him about this matter, and he is hating his life so far. But he loves it. Moving past Rohan's yawn, that was very eccentric. I love it.
Go big or go home.
Yeah, 100%. A few housekeeping items for you. We are reviewing currently another series called Bleach. We finished season 8. We jumped into the first movie that came out last week. It's a very disappointing,
amazing and brilliant, like you remembered.
Yes, it was amazing and brilliant. It was such a disappointing movie. It's not even funny because it threw me off. It really threw me off because nostalgia sometimes really works well, and it's obviously a very powerful emotion, right? It did not help in this particular case because it was just a very generic early 2000s, and Theo put it best. It showed how weak this entry is. But the next 2 movies are going to be fantastic, so check those out. We also launched a brand new show. It is hosted by Theo and Rohan. Currently at this time, it is TBA. So
yeah, man, you have to actually watch it to really understand what's going on with the TBA. So don't be shy. Click on the video and check us out. And it's a nice little show. I think y'all enjoy it.
Yes, 100%. I highly recommend checking it out. And that is it. Let's jump in. Moon Knight, guys. Episode 5. Daniel, lay it on me.
I really liked episode 5 because we were waiting for 4 episodes to get the answers that we wanted, and to have it that pronounced, I liked it. It gave some context to the overall story. It was very emotional, which I kind of liked. They can like just do like a Marvel fluff piece kind of thing, and they got real serious, real fast. And then with factor in the whole Egyptian afterlife aspect of it too, that was pretty cool. The ending of episode 5, I was like, oh damn.
Where that's where Tira actually. Oh no, wait.
Where Stephen sacrifices himself. Yeah, sacrifices himself.
And the beginning is when. Well, the end of episode 4 is what we saw Tira. Yeah, the walking, talking Egyptian god hippo exposition tool. Really, what she was. Nice enough. Serves as a guide for Mark and Steven. Sorry, guys. Morning. I'm not a morning person, right? But like you said, it gave some answers, and they were good enough. But it was the way it was explained out. I was confused a couple of times. Like honestly, Steven, spoilers, obviously already spoilers, but Steven is a conjured, is the conjured personality of Mark, who actually turns out to be the real person.
How surprised you about that?
I was like,
I wasn't expecting that.
I was not expecting that, right? And cool, I was expecting that it was a twist, but it wasn't in my head, and particularly one that made sense. Like to what I understood, like I'm not a psychologist, right? I don't know anything about psychology and split personalities. Not my extent of knowledge of split personality is a Fight Club. Okay, that's how far my knowledge of split personality goes. And with that knowledge, I am going to proclaim that it's weird that it's Steven that's the conjured personality, because like apparently like he was made to protect Mark from the beatings that he got from his mom. But Mark is a dominant personality trait person, or like he's the one that that a lot of the time seemingly protects Steven, like a lot of the time, right? Especially when shit goes like hits the fan, right? And he has to like
his way of like disassociating from
emotion.
Yeah, okay. That's how it's supposed to work. But like you disassociate by having a personality type that like doesn't care about the beatings and like who's just like naturally tougher. Steven doesn't seem like a tough type of person, and like and yeah, like I don't know, like it just seemed weird to me that it's such like a weak type of person. It gets conjured to deal with just traumatic instances of like his mom getting beating Mark, right? It was weird. It was weird how they went about that. Like that's the mechanics, right? That just seemed that for me, that just seemed weird. Like they have a personality type like Steven be the fake one, and usually it's portrayed as like, you know, the psychopath, that crazy guy that doesn't give a fuck, right? About getting beat up and stuff like that, right? Like a Mark, right? Mark is not afraid of violence or anything like that, but yet he conjured someone like Steven to protect himself, his mind, from the fact that his mom was beating him. I don't know. That's just a particular thing.
It was impacted from his like favorite movie. And like the poster and everything.
Yeah,
too.
Stephen Grant.
Even the caption of the movie. It was like, when danger is near, don't fear. Dr. Grant is here, or Stephen Grant is here.
So when you look at it the way I saw it, it's very simple. Like you went into your happy space to make sure that this none of this trauma actually occurs. The reality was that Mark knew this trauma was occurring. And what did he do?
That's
He became this mercenary to offset it. But at the same time, when it came down to any time anything traumatic would occur, or he would make decent relationships, and even like when you see it, his relationship with
deep
Lila,
emotional stuff, like he disassociates.
not just emotional stuff, right? Him killing people, that was traumatic for him. Like he had shot all these innocent people at the very end, that messed with him. So any single time he has to deal with some sort of trauma, he goes into his happy space, which is Steven. Which brought him joy, which brought him closer to his brother, which like it's all these memories that floods back, and to him, that personality is perfection. That personality is this kid that loves his mom, that no matter what will happen, it's meant to protect him, Steven, from reality. But Mark conjures that up, so that made sense to me. Because Steven being the dominant person or being the dominant personality, that's shown throughout every single episode. Anytime Steve is in danger, Mark steps in. So him having all of these bunkers, him having a wife, him having everything, all of that, we knew more about Mark than we did for Steve. So it was hinted that Mark was a little bit more of a dominant personality. Even when we go back into the asylum, it's Mark, not Steve. Right? Yeah. He finds Steve and opens up the sarcophagus. So it's always hinted that he was the dominant one. If you look at any other movies like Split, that's an amazing movie to watch when it comes down to multiple personality disorders, right? You always conjure or you always create something that is missing. So that's just how it works.
Yeah, I guess in terms of missing, like Steven is actually like a happy person generally.
So happiness was missing.
Okay, so okay, that's one way to like explain Steven.
For sure.
Right. So
but
I was surprised by it for sure. I wasn't expecting that kind of emotional level of like explanation. I was just assumed they're gonna explain some kind of like just split personality or multiple persons inside a body. To go through that kind of route, that was
like
a shock.
Different souls.
Yeah,
like Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah. But to have like that kind of explanation, I mean, it was good and really well told. But damn, like
it was grounded.
Yeah.
Which upsets me because episode 6 is so fucking ungrounded.
Yeah.
See, here's my issue with this show. So once we go, the themes it's trying to touch, I don't think is really they're doing a good enough job to like kind of really elaborate or more. Like first we were talking about good versus evil, right? Sin, and like they brought everyone's life on a very what's the Tom Cruise movie? Minority Report, right? That we're gonna stop crime for even happen. We're gonna stop crime from ever occurring before it even happens by going and passing judgment on those that that we feel deserve it based on the Oracle or Captain America, Winter Soldier, similar aspect, right? That they're going to go around with these helicarriers. They're going to go and kill all these people that potentially could end up becoming superheroes or be threats to whatever the sovereignty they were trying to protect, right? Exactly, national security or whatever excuse they were using. This is very similar to that. But so you go from gods and ideology to then this psychological thriller horror that was the first episode. This man trying to figure out what is wrong with him, why is he walking, all that stuff, all that the way they showed it was great. To then God's walking amongst us, very eternal, and they can't be part of society. They've decided not to mingle in and all that. To then back to the psych ward to discuss his human psyche, which is weird right off the bat, like the tonal shift from gods. So first psychological thriller to gods to now psych ward. So okay, we're going back to that, but without the horror elements, but you're also making it seem like this is everything that we've seen is not real.
If they added the horror element to the psych ward bit,
yeah,
it definitely would have been better.
Exactly. And then back to gods again. So you're like, okay, the whole afterlife scenario that in episode 5 that they were discussing, which was fantastic. Like that was a character piece. We're trying to find more about, okay, who is this character? To then back to gods. And oh no, there's a third personality at the very end. Everything that you saw was inconsequential. Like that what upset me because okay, so all this journey that he went to. Oh, I'll give you a perfect example. At the end of episode 5, when you said, "Oh damn," Steve is in the sand and Mark's heart's finally at peace. He's full. He goes to the fields of whatever they're called, the peace field, to go back to Steve to say, "Hey, you and I are one. Here's a heart to save him." Why? What lesson did you learn in episode 5? The whole point for episode 5 was for you to balance your soul. And you finally did. You
gave up Steven and
you gave up Steven. Exactly. Face your demons to go back and say, no, I need Steve in my life. That really pissed me off. I was like, okay, fine. You need him. You're back. I like the dynamic. When they were fighting and then they're switching back and forth and stuff, that part was cool. To now say, yo, no, there's a third personality as well. At the very end, like hint at that more. It's very much based on, what's going to happen season 2? Is there going to be a season 2? Well, we'll find out.
I found they did hint on Jake Loxley a little bit, but it was more like you had to go in depth to figure it out. Like it wasn't noticeable in the show for the average viewer. It was the deep dives on YouTube and extended articles that were like this. Like the one bit that really stood out to me, because I looked into it and watched the recap videos, and like they point out odd little bits where they think Jake Loxley might be. It was when he was in episode 5 in the psych ward, and he's back with talking to Harrow at the desk, but his voice is slightly different, and he's, what was the expression? No, Doc, I feel like $1 million or something like that. It was very like New York, and I was like, that's not Mark. That's not Steven.
Okay, so
it's like odd, very small things like that. And if they wanted to really hint that there was a third personality, they could have done it a lot better.
The final
instead
fight.
Of having very slight. Yeah, the final fight too. There was only a little bit in it. Why didn't they just show Jake Loxley?
Right? Like, why didn't you just you threw all this thread throughout the entire show that there might be a third person, right? The first time is when we realize it on top of the cliff when he's fighting these guys and they both blank out, and the second time is with the I feel like $1 million, that comment. Okay, the sarcophagus. And then at the very end, then Mark blanked out and also Steve blanked out. And it's like, oh, there you go. So did he develop a third personality? Is that a different soul? But here's my question. Here's where the entire show fucking breaks. Because now they introduce a third element. If you read the comics and everything, you're waiting for it, right? If you haven't read the comics, like us, we don't know anything about this. If he is the more effective one, why is Khonshu just not using him?
Yeah.
Because he got shit done every single time. So he's clearly the more effective one. At the same time, is he the more dominant one? Is he a third soul that's attached? Like, we have no idea. Why is he choosing Mark? Why Steven? Why show those two as a highlight?
Yeah. Because the way they explained Steven and Mark together was really well done. And they didn't leave any room to factor in a third personality. The way they explained having two balancing each other off was great. But then having
how do you explain the third?
It doesn't
Where did the third
fit.
come from?
Like, I was more than happy letting Steven die.
Yes!
Like, it's cool to bring him back, and the comedy between the two of them and the way he's like jumps between the two of them in the final episode was great, sure, but like, you just killed him off. He came to terms with not having Steven. Like, I'd be fine with that. Just have Mark.
Growth.
Or
That showed character progression. When he goes back to Steve, it shows regression, at least in my point of view, because now you're trying to turn around and say, we both are one person. Yes, I get it. But it's Mark. It's really Mark. The whole journey of the balancing act was Mark. So
I found my overall impression of last episode was the entire show was good because it didn't feel like a Marvel show. It was very different. It was more edgy. It was more mysterious and thriller horror kind of thing. And then by the end of the show, it just dived back down to a typical Marvel show.
It felt rushed. Last episode to me felt very rushed. It's like, okay, Amit's here. What are we going to do? Why is Amit such a, like, I did not find Amit terrifying at all. Okay, yeah, judge everybody else. All right, great.
It was that typical story where it's like, oh, we got this big world-ending threat, but you also know it's that kind of like the way they set the tone for the final episode. You kind of knew that they're going to win the fight.
Yeah, there's no
It's
stakes.
not like they're going to lose.
Yeah. Because like how they got to that point anyways, especially how like Mark and Steven were just like thrust back together, and how they managed to actually get back to the mortal plane, right, when they actually come back to life. There was a lot of things that were just like, yeah, so we're here now, Mark and Steve.
It went
buddy
very
let's go.
booky.
Yes.
Animated kind of show kind of vibe, like, oh, we're gonna have this really serious show, and then all suddenly it's just gonna be a typical kind of comic.
Hand wave a lot of things away, man.
Yeah, everything's fine. They'll have a big boss battle at the end, but they'll win. It's whatever.
Their get out of jail free card now is Jake or Jacob, whatever that third personality is, right? Because every single time now the other two are in danger, that personality would take over. So it's like, tell us more about that personality then.
Why didn't they actually just go back? If Mark was going to go back to save someone, why not be they made the Sands feel trivial. They built up the Sands to be such a threat. They were Sand freaking people that came down and dragged freaking Steven, that was going to drag Mark down, and Steven had to sacrifice himself. They made it seem like such a dangerous freaking place, right? And yet Mark just fights him, gives him his heart, half his heart,
and
the
entire
day off they go.
Of
why not just
eternity? He went and found one person. Like
what if he was gonna go back to save someone, or to, if he thought that he needed the help, why not just go back to freaking the psych ward that's in the boat still and release freaking Jake Lockley?
They
knock over that.
They were both like, ooh.
Right? That would have been cool.
Like, yeah.
Right?
Inconsequential. That's what it felt. All of this.
Yeah.
It does.
Weird, like, we don't know if there's going to be a season 2 or not.
Here's the thing. That's what I'm going to touch base on. Yeah. We don't know the connection to MCU. We don't know the stakes that it leads to in MCU. We don't know the timeline that it links back to MCU.
We still actually don't know the timeline, do we?
Exactly. And on top of that, we don't know if the story's wrapped up. Because at the very, the post-credit scene, the mid-post-credit scene makes it seem like, Khonshu never wanted, he's an asshole because he didn't want to let go of those two. They were under the impression, but no, not really. I do have a third person that's in there that I kind of do control. So it's like, okay,
maybe it's a question of control. Sorry, see what you're saying?
Sure. But like, what was the point of Mark and Steve's journey if the ending that they wanted, right, for Mark and Steve's journey at the very end, the conclusion they wanted was to be free of conscious control, to go back to they're not free of conscious control. They are like, that's what I don't understand. I don't want Lila to be part of this whole journey that Mark had. Okay. He did not want, he left Lila because he didn't want conscious control and blah, 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 blah. Great. None of that factored in. Steve trying to figure out who he is and blah, 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 blah. He's the only one that got a little bit of clarity. But even then he found out, I don't exist. He created me to repress his trauma, I am needed once again. So even his heroic sacrifice was not really heroic. Okay. Star Wars You know what Finn sacrificed and Rose stopped in episode 8? It felt like a very cheap cop out to like pull on your strings, and then just return it back and say, "Oh no, ha ha ha, just jokes. No need to kill the Indian guy." You know, like that's what it just felt like. I was.
That's the one thing that annoyed me too was just the ending when he wakes up and it's Steven in Steven's apartment. I was like, wait, if Mark is the dominant personality and Steven was his coping mechanism, why are we back
isn't that
to
back to his
Steven
wife?
being the dominant person? It should be Mark living his life, living with Layla again, fixing their marriage, doing whatever. Her being a cool ass superhero now.
Yeah.
And Steven's just like the voice in his head that helps him out every now and again if you wanted to keep Steven in the show.
What about Lila? Like what happened to her? Like
Yeah, they didn't
nothing,
explain anything.
and any of that was not. That's why I'm saying like this. It felt rushed. They're like, okay, we
Yeah.
need to finish. It is 45 minutes, bro. Like, give us 5 extra
Yeah.
minutes of like just. I don't care.
Why couldn't
Like,
it be an hour?
yeah, like narration that would kind of resolve a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
But none of that occurred whatsoever.
So now you see why my confusion about why Steven was a conjured personality, right?
I still think
he seems like the guy that's supposed to be like actually it's weird.
That's
like,
the thing. Like for me, like throughout the entire show, like it very felt like Mark is the real one, not Steve.
Yeah. Which they did in episode 5.
Yes,
They confirmed that.
They confirmed it. Then they went.
yeah, they confirmed
back.
it, but like then they go back on it.
Everything
was
is
weird.
reverting back. That's what I mean, like it felt like a character regression. Well, with both of like just the Moon Knight character itself, like that. I don't know. Oscar Isaac did a phenomenal job. I will say that. I was very very impressed. This man is so. Even Ethan Hawke too as Hero, he did a really good job. But
What do you thought about the fight scenes? What do you thought about the actual action that happened?
I did not,
especially in the last.
I did not like the only sequence I liked. Yeah, the only sequence I liked was when Lila and Moon Knight are fighting the army and they're switching back and forth with the personalities and stuff. I'm like, oh, Steve now also has a little bit of like, he remembers for a couple of things. Great. Liked that portion. Otherwise, and the gods fighting in the back, that's like very anime Final Fantasy Marvel, yes. So I was like, okay, like this is great. But Amit
got a little too over the top.
It did not seem like Amit was like, where the fuck are the Avengers? Like, when do they step in? These guys are moving so.
Shield. Shield is international.
Exactly.
Shield is international. What are they doing?
Like, what is an Avenger level threat now? That's what I'm saying. Like, does it have to be cosmic? Because this feels like it's cosmic. It's gods.
Even if like it's even if it's pre-snap, right? Shield was even more prominent. It would be probably even more prominent.
Exactly.
With the guys who actually deal with that kind of thing.
I do think it's post though.
Yeah, post or not,
even
like
that,
at least Shield would be aware of this, and that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Right. Like.
I don't know, man. Like, I
the show doesn't know. The show doesn't know.
Yes, that's it. That is what it like.
It
the
lost
themes.
its energy.
Yes.
Yeah.
It lost the themes that it was trying to like portray. And if you are gonna turn around and say no, I'm gonna cope with my trauma by coming back and accepting the other personality and say this is who I am. Well, then what was the point of balancing your soul? Then don't show that. Then it should have been balanced when he admitted the fact that you and I both are one person. But the whole point was Mark needed to cope with his fucking, like, he needed to come to terms with the fact that, Steve is alive. Yeah, he killed his brother and he created Steve out of it. Steve is a lie. And he couldn't say it out loud. This is the problem. Like, episode 5 was so strong. Episode 5 was so strong, and I was very, very curious to see how they're going to go back to it. And even if they were to turn around and go the whole Psych Ward route, I would have been fine. I would have been absolutely fine.
Yeah, but at least it would be consistent. It would have been consistent, though, right?
This is all in his head. This is what's going on, and it's just... Yeah, they didn't know the themes that they were trying to... That's what at least I feel.
I found it caught me twice at the end. When they woke up back in the psych ward.
Yeah.
I was like, shit. I was like, nah, Fayez can't be right. Fayez can't be right of this. This whole it was all a dream kind of thing. Like, oh, it's all in your head. I was like, nah. And then they went back and he was fine. He's like, I don't need you, blah, blah. But then Steven woke up in his bed again. I was like, wait, is it all a dream? Is he just back at the very beginning again? I was like, nah, this can't be true. But then you hear Mark going, is this how you live? This place is a dump. And it's like, okay, but it's not how he lives, it's how you live. You're the dominant person. I was like, yeah.
But at the same time, Mark knew this is how he lived. Because he saw himself in the mirror. It's like, I'm like, oh my God, dude. Like, it's...
This was what I was talking about. Where like it was getting like too weird to follow sometimes about what the show was doing, right? And I was like losing the plot sometimes. Of like, wait, is this like, oh, like you said, Daniel, the when at the end where like they return to the psych ward, right? And you see her again, right? And then you see his feet, like blood, the blood on his feet when he's walking around. I was like, okay, no, this is in his head, right? Because like there's no reason for that to like occurring, right? But why? Right? It wasn't really explaining anything more about the situation when they did that.
They're not back on the boat.
Yeah, no, it was in his head. They were back in his head. So it's like...
He's already been brought back to life, so why go back to the psych ward? Because the psych ward is...
Afterlife. That was his purgatory. It was purgatory. They were trying to figure out what they need to do, balance everything out, find inner peace. If you don't balance your soul, then you're tossed out.
Yeah, that part of it was seemingly so tied to the fact that he got shot, right, and he was in purgatory, right, and that made perfect sense of why he kept on shifting back and forth, right, because that's purgatory. Like you don't know, like a constant state of things are always in flux, right? So like them jumping around from being in the hospital to being on the boat and being in Mark's past and stuff like that I totally got that and totally followed that. Why the hell are they going back to that shit when they're alive now?
I don't know, man. Like that's what I'm saying. Like it's some of the... Anyways, moving past it. Obviously, I mentioned all the actors and everything. Kudos to them. Music is great. The show looked great. Fight choreography could have been a little bit better. But yo, Lila, her switch back and forth with the god Tawe.
Tirawe. I got it was weird for what was happening at the time, right? It was like, okay, that's the route you're gonna go with to try and actually like explain out how she got these powers.
All I'm gonna say is I did like her acting when she was like walking down. Whenever she was switched back to Layla, she's like struggling and trying to walk. Yes, yeah. And then back to Tawe, and she's all like happy and giggly. I was like, okay, this is great. I do like this. Their dynamic worked really well, just how Mark and Stevens did. So I don't know if this show is weaker than Hawkeye. Because Hawkeye, in retrospective now, felt like a contained story. It was very consistent. Yes, 100%. Rohan, I agree with you. It's bringing back Fisk, tying it back up to the MCU. I think Hawkeye, in that sense, even Kate Bishop, great character, and just showing her journey throughout why she got inspired, where she is now, showing Hawkeye how... The fact that he puts on his hearing aid, or he turns down the hearing aid, and the trauma he's going through, and all that stuff. Seeing Ronan back again.
It was grounded. It was more grounded, and it was more consistent.
Yeah, hindsight's 2020, I guess, right? But like compared to this,
is Hawkeye better? is Hawkeye just straight up better in some cases?
I think watching the show if you binge it, I think Hawkeye would be better.
I definitely want to sit down again at some point and just rewatch Moon Knight all in one go.
One go, right? And pick up all the different themes and stuff, yeah?
Yeah. Just to see if it flows better that way.
I think if you're like a diehard like Moon Knight fan, like from the comics and stuff like that, I think there's more for you to draw from this show as is.
You already know the backstories. It's
like it's cool seeing everything on like in obviously like on a live action. 100% agreed. But in retrospect, like when you put all the shows together, fuck, I think What If was probably one of the weakest. But then episode 5 kicked in and it was just shot right back up. That really threw me off. And I know Rohan was always mentioning it. He's like, yo, just get past it. Get past it. Yo, it's good. It's good. Just get past it. But I think for me, this is probably the weakest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least definitely one of the weaker ones.
Yeah.
Just with the way the story kind of just unraveled.
I think the story itself, Loki is high completely. Like I think Loki's number 1 probably. What If is really high too, because What If ends up having a lot more repercussions throughout the multiverse. So that was really cool. Wanda Vision is really high.
For me, it's tied with Loki. It's like it's up there with Loki.
Yeah.
And What If is second for me, second or third.
So Loki, Hawkeye, Captain Falcon, and Winter Soldier. I think that was up there too, but the last episode, just the way he became Captain America, I was not happy. It was preachy, yes, but even if I put past the preachy part, right? Great, I totally get you. You're showing a raw take of what it would feel like for America to accept a black Captain America. All about it. Talk about the struggles, talk about the social commentary, all of this. Even like with the cops, is this guy bugging you? Is not like they wanted to go down that route. Great, talk about it. To then all of a sudden, he did a little bit of exercise of his shield throwing and everything, and he's like, I'm Captain America.
He's Captain America.
I was like, what? Like, that's what bugged me. He didn't feel like he...
Real 4 gym sessions?
Ready to go.
Yes, because his whole point was... I need to earn this. This is not something that a white man's going to pass down onto me. That was his thing. And I was like, okay, I feel you. I totally get it. We are forgotten. Like even the army guy, we're forgotten. Like nobody cares about us, blah, 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 blah. I totally get it. Yes, this is real. Let's discuss this. Okay. To then I need to go on my own journey to feel like I need to earn Captain America, to shield tosses, and now mentally I am Captain America. I was like, then why didn't you just accept it when Steve Rogers gave it to you? Like he chose you. Out of everybody else he could have picked, he chose you. So take it as that mantle that I earned it. But he's
the story was a bit unnecessary in a way, right? Because it was just you went from one stage to saying no, and then going through all this effort and
rushed. It felt rushed
just to go back to.
And this is the same thing. So like when I look at the stories back and forth between this one and the other one, this feels inconsequential straight off the bat. Like, because a lot of stuff that you're telling us matters, did not matter, to then matter, to now, nah, it does it. I don't know. Let's see. Open the book now. It's like, no, I don't like that. But Hawkeye felt more consistent. So it's like, oof, I just didn't care the story that they were telling. It's like more like Black Widow. I didn't like the story that they were telling. There's a lot more they could have done. But fuck. It's hard.
With Moon Knight, I had 2 things I found doing some research after the fact. So don't remember where I saw it, if it was Screen Crush or Screen Geek. Because like the second thing I found was Screen Geek. But Oscar Isaac improvised that final cutscene. They said, play it however you want. So we chose Spanish. And the last part...
he's the saving fucking grace, man, of the show.
Yeah, he really is, man.
He really is, man. He is such an amazing actor.
The last portion was what Screen Geek found with Disney's Twitter account. All the Marvel tweets that they put out. So initially, they posted a tweet. Marvel Studios account initially tweeted... This Wednesday experienced the epic series finale of Marvel Studios' Moon Knight, only on Disney+. However, they deleted that and they changed the post to then read, this Wednesday experienced the epic season finale.
Yeah, there's a second season. There's going to come out. There's definitely going to be a second season.
So I don't know though, because season and series here, or in North America, mean 2 different things. In the UK, we don't call shows by seasons. It's series 1, series 2, series 3. So I don't know if it was just an admin error.
I think it's going to be. I think so. I know that they were mentioning that this is going to be a self-contained season. There's not a second season greenlit, and I'm sure the second season is going to be greenlit now because it's genuinely doing really well. It's not that the show's doing bad. The show is actually doing well. People seem invested into it. Like, there's a lot of stuff there to like. I love the fact, first and foremost, let's be real. Egyptian gods, I'm all about it. Music, I'm all about it. There's a lot of different, representation matters. I'm all about it. Arab culture, beautiful. All about it. Next show that's going to come out, Miss Marvel, Pakistani teenage girl, all about it. I like these little stories that they're telling. But I would have loved it better if they didn't fucking do what Star Wars does. I would have liked it better if they would have done something that, well, this, I was going to say Disney, but like Futurama, for example. Futurama did 3 fucking times. They put everything together as this is supposed to end. This is how it's going to end. If we get a sequel, if we get whatever, we can always explore these things later on. The third personality, little dangling in front of our head to say, hey, if there's a season 2, let's find out what's going on about here. That's fine. But at least make Steve and Mark's story feel more concluded. It felt like Jamie Lannister going back and just destroying his entire character fucking progression in 5 seasons. Like, it was like...
He was the best, portrayed character, and like total character arc ruined in like an episode.
Like that, just like that. I survived. Brienne, like, they didn't need to fucking do the Brienne part. He didn't need to sleep with Brienne. All of that stuff felt so forced because she genuinely loved you, and you're just a piece of shit. And we know you're not a piece of shit. You're just doing it because you think that you're not deserving of her. None of that is portrayed. This is just us coming up with conclusions to kind of save any kind of butchery that they fucking did to his character.
We're doing the writing for the writers in our own heads.
The part where he had the spear and he's like, okay, fuck it. I'm on the horse. I'm going to go after this dragon. That shows his bravery. That shows that he's a knight. That shows what he will do to protect his people, to fucking turn around and saying, I don't really care much about the people or anything. Really? You became a kingslayer because you cared about the people, regardless of what the caste or status was. You killed your own fucking king, and you went into the lifetime of what, like, crude jokes. Everything was ripped apart from you. All you cared about was your legacy. That became the fact that you're a kingslayer. To turn around and say, I don't really care about it. Fuck that shit. It's so annoying.
Let's get a little off track though.
I'm sorry. But that's what this felt like. That's literally what this felt like. That was just 10 years of progression that we were in love with, to this feeling like, okay, I'm all about it. Mark, let's go. Steve, heroic sacrifice. Like, it felt like they did Steve dirty. You know why? Because if Steve was his personality that helped him from trauma to help him cope with things, he did his part. At the very end, when he let you go and he saved you, he did your part. There was a natural fucking progression in your character. To turn around and say, no, I need you? Why? Why? And then nothing about
it was hand wave. It was hand wave away, man. That was the thing. It was some hand waving going on that Marvel Disney was doing just to keep the story progress, to tell the Marvel story that they wanted to tell. So.
And that's the biggest issue with this fucking episode 6, is at the end of the day you can turn around and say, yeah, you know what happened last episode? It doesn't really matter. We shot by a different director. Don't worry about it. Star Wars. Right? That's why I mentioned Star Wars.
Yeah.
Whereas Futurama, it's like they figure out a way to connect. Oh, this was the last series finale. Nope, we're back. This is how we're gonna do it. Like, it has one of the best series finale ever, and they're coming back. They got renewed. I'm so excited. which was like, let's go literally back to any point in history because we're taking a round trip again. If they didn't have anything, it just means they're going back to the first episode, or they're going back to any different point and they can start anywhere. Like, it was genius. Here is oh my god, man. I didn't realize I was gonna be this passionate, but fucking see, like, I liked episode 5. I really liked episode 5.
So maybe in season 2, if it actually is getting greenlit by the little Twitter ramblings that people do, trolling that people do, maybe they'll go back to a more consistent horror psychological story to be told, because there's content there to actually do it, right? There's meat there to actually do that properly, right? Mysteries with Jake Lockley and whatnot, right? And the dynamic between Steve and Mark is still there and still good.
Like them going on a journey as actual detectives to find out who this mysterious third personality is.
Or something, right? They could do it, right? But if it goes back to just like constantly switching between giant gauze stomping around picking Egypt and stuff like that, like on a whim.
If the tone keeps changing every
it's way too. It's one thing to do tonal shifts. It's another thing to do a tonal shift from one scene to the next.
Yeah.
Right.
It felt like an anime, guys. It legit felt like an anime. And the thing is, in a lot of the anime movies or TV or just anime in general, like shows, you kind of buy it because they're not live action. So you just like in your head, you're like, oh, okay, for sure, why not? Right?
But that's the story being told in a lot of anime, like Evangelion, right? Like giant robots fighting giant alien angel demons, right? But but that's the story being told. Like aliens or angels are attacking Earth, right? They have to use these giant robots if you can fight them off, right? And it's the freaking story between the humans being told along with that. But that's the story. What's the story here with freaking Moon Knight? What's the actual story being told here?
The story was that Moon Knight, which is Mark and Steve, wanted to get rid of Khonshu, to only find out, nope, he's a dick. And there's a third personality he controls. And everything that you've been doing up to now doesn't matter. Doesn't matter whatsoever.
Yeah, it's so they're playing with the audience.
It didn't feel like a character piece. It didn't feel like any of that, man. It was a character study of if it was a character study between like Mark and Steve, like what it felt like in the very beginning. Okay, and then obviously you notice it when they also wear their the suits and stuff. All of that with the new third personality shoved in at the very end, which I'm sure it wasn't shoved in, but it felt like that. That I'm not feeling it whatsoever, man.
Well, to wrap it up, what would you guys give the show out of 10? Now it's finally finished.
A 6.
Well, you Ryan?
Maybe a 5, really. Considering how good it could have been, man.
Yeah.
It really dropped the ball hard. But like for the parts that are good, it's really good. The stuff that it does well, so a 5, man.
Lila's entire journey was amazing. Lila's actors and stuff were amazing. The set pieces were great. The ice cream sequence in the very beginning was great. Switching back and forth and all that stuff. Loved all that element. To then just Amit, I think, was weak. The villains were weak. Ethan Hawke. Even Hero too.
Him.
They like the way they I think they did him dirty too, because at the very end he just felt like, I have done all of it. I just want to be your avatar. Just like, well, dude, like you were doing so well without the avatar. You were so productive when it came down. I don't think you really needed Amit, but okay, sure. And they just no. Yeah, like I would give it a 6 based on just Lila fucking carrying 3 episodes on her fucking back. I would just give her. And episode 5 was really fucking good.
I think I'd go probably a 6.5, because from the first few episodes I thought it was amazing.
Yeah,
it was only the direction that they took the story that ruined it in the final episode. So I was before, like, going up to episode 5, for me it was sitting at like a 7 or an 8. but like I was really enjoying it. Just to have it kind of just lose all its energy and just go right downhill. Yeah, it's dropping down to a 6.5.
You know, there's certain things in the universes that they end up establishing that you kind of just, the viewers, it's a sense of disbelief that you kind of just go through it and you're like, okay, yeah, the universe already explained this is how this works, so we're not going to deal with it. Like Fast and the Furious, landing on cars, regardless of whichever speed you're going at, is a mattress, right? So we buy it. Like Dominic obviously is going to grab Letty and be shot at the speed of God knows what and land into a car and he will be fine. Nothing will be broken. His tank will be completely fine. We have to drop a Fast and the Furious reference each video. It's just, we have to. But like, I'm talking about that. Like, there is a sense of disbelief that you're willing to go on because the universe has explained, like, this is what is allowed. Here, it kept switching back and forth, and I did not like that. Especially afterwards with the third personality, it just felt cheap. It didn't feel like it was earned. And it robbed us of any growth that we had, any character progression that we had, especially for the main character. Man, like, are you kidding me?
Oh yeah.
Well, hopefully, if season 2 does emerge, they do a much better job with it. But just have to wait and see. It's Marvel, so they're very secretive. Marvel and Disney, everything's going to be hidden. It could have been greenlit already, but everyone's sworn to secrecy, so we'll never know for a while.
I'm sure there's going to be a season 2. I'm sure there's going to be a season 2. Right now, it's on just Google users sitting at 92%. Rotten Tomatoes 97%. So it's 87. Sorry, it's pretty highly rated, and it is, yes, like, it's fucking 3 actors that are carrying this fucking show on their back throughout, and people want to, and they have really good fucking chemistry. Like May and Oscar, are you kidding me? Their chemistry was like palpable, right? Even Ethan Hawke killed it, absolutely killed it. Well, let's see what ends up happening, but I think collective 6.5, 6 and 5, so average is 6.
Yeah,
6 out of 10. Oof, that is not good. But yeah, everywhere I'm looking at right now, IGN is also saying Moon Knight season 1 review, AV Club season 1 review, Eris season 1 review, the Direct season 1 review. Every single one saying season 1, and the only other show that did this was Loki. So,
yeah. All right, let's see.
All right, that would be it from us. Any final thoughts, guys?
So far,
just let down.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit, man, compared to the promise of the show to what we got now.
Yeah,
we could only hope for season 2 to be better. So let's hope for season 2.
Let's see.
Fingers crossed.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me. Like, that, this was great. I know it's early in the morning, but this was a conversation needed to be had. I had a lot of anger towards episode 6, especially waking up at 6 o'clock just to watch it. I don't think it was worth it. But thank you, everyone, for if you made it this far to the video, thank you so much for joining us. If you're listening on the podcast services around the globe, thank you so much for listening to us. Comment down below, let us know what your thoughts about Moon Knight is. Where does it rank when it comes out to the grand scheme of TV shows? Where does it rank for you? And always be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. We are Cast 5. Trust me, your neighbors, if they don't know about us, you gotta move. You gotta go to like, you gotta move, man. But yes, with that said, sending you all nothing but good vibes from your friends at Cast 5. Ciao.